Hi friends, this is Caitlin, and today I am so excited to be sharing a really fun spring cleaning challenge with Jess Crafts. We partnered up and decided to go through our stash and use some products that were more than a year old. I also went a little extra and decided to use some scraps that I had in my crazy scrap bin, which is what I'm showing you right now. And that box underneath is where I keep all of my scraps. So I just think that this was such a fun idea to kind of go through your stash and see what you have, see what maybe you forgot about. I don't know about you, but I know that every time I get new goodies in, they, take the center stage for a while. And I think it's just really fun to look back and see what you've got. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can hang out with me every Friday. And also make sure that when you're done watching this video, you head on over to Jess Crafts video. I'll have it linked in the description box below for you. She is an absolutely amazing YouTuber. I love her cards. She has so many cool ideas and ways to have like no waste cards and things like that. Obviously that is not my specialty, as you can see by my scrap box. So if that's something that you want to learn more about, definitely go check her out. I'm very appreciative for her support with this one today. So I'm starting out by trimming down those scraps that I had. I have a regular side fold A2 size card, and I'm just trimming that yellow panel down. I believe it was to 4 inches, and then I'm trimming this piece of craft scrap that I had to 1.5 by 4 1/4, and I'm just going to line those up on the card. You'll see once everything's adhered. I did have a teeny little white sliver on the edge that was kind of hanging over, so I did go back in to kind of trim that and neaten it up. But I just think that this is such a fun way to use up some extra scraps and kind of create your own unique patterned paper background. Very fun. We also had a theme for this video that we were going to create spring cards as part of the challenge. And so immediately the first stamp set that I had that was more than a year old that fit that spring theme, and I unfortunately have not grabbed as much as I wish I had been grabbing, was the Dandy Day set from Fawn. This is the set that really made me fall in love with these little mice from Fawn. Now I have a whole bunch of the little mice sets, but it was really nice to kind of go back to the original set that made me fall in love with them, and I just had a lot of fun creating this scene. So in my scrap stash, I had this piece of white cardstock that had the stitched border die cut around it, and so I trimmed down another scrap of that green Watercolor Wishes paper from Fawn, just so that it would fit inside those stitched lines. And that's going to be the base of the little scene we're going to create in here. There's also a little blemish on that paper, which I'm kind of surprised that I saved it, but I'm really glad that I did, because once everything's done and we do all the stenciling and glitter paste and everything like that, you can't even tell. So I'm glad that this paper did not go to waste. So right now I'm taking some washi tape and just trimming it in half, and I'm using it to frame out the little stitched border all the way around, just to help kind of keep everything nice and clean when we go in to do our ink blending and stenciling now. So the stencil that I used is a 2018 release from Newton's Nook. It's the Floral Lace stencil, and I absolutely love this stencil, and I haven't grabbed it in so long. So I went in with the Distress Oxide ink and Squeeze Lemonade. I thought it worked really well with the other yellows that I had used from my scrap bin. And then I immediately went over it with this Nuvo glitter paste in Moonstone, which I also absolutely love. I love that it doesn't change the color of what you're using it with. It just kind of enhances it. And you can see I am getting pretty low on my jar. I'm gonna need another one soon. So I thought this was a good tried and true thing to pull out for our spring cleaning little challenge. So I'm taking off that washi tape and just being really careful not to get glitter paste all over everything. I just think it's so satisfying to watch that come off and have those nice clean edges. So I'm going to set that aside to dry and go wash off my stencil and my little scraper. And now it's time to start stamping out our images. So I grabbed 2 little mice, 2 of the dandelion flowers, and then the little leaf, as well as the sentiment, which I started out by stamping as one solid piece, but later on we're going to end up cutting it in half to kind of break it up and split it up over the card. So per usual, I am stamping my images in the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I just think that this ink is the cleanest for me. I don't have to worry about any smudging or smearing or bleeding. It works for me perfectly every time. So I've tried a couple other brands, but this one is definitely by far my favorite. And then I went in with my Copic markers and I shaded my 2 little mice the same. I tried to keep everything very simple and kind of clean for this one, and I went with some E40 browns that I thought would work really well with the craft cardstock on our background, just to kind of keep everything in the same kind of color family and color scheme. I think the most fun part of this challenge is that Jess and I are challenging you guys to take this challenge yourself and see if you can shop through your stash and make a spring card using a stamp set or stencil or some kind of card making item that you've had for over a year. And maybe throw in some scraps too if you, like me, are a scrap collector. And just make sure you tag us over on Instagram. She is at Jess Crafts and I am at Caitlin Annalie Cards, and we would absolutely love to see what you end up making. You can also go ahead and leave me a comment down below and let me know if you want, what stamp set do you find that you've had for a long time but you just keep coming back to? What's your tried and true stamp set or stencil or product, anything card making for that matter? I would love to know, because as much as we have some tried and trues, I feel like there's always something missing in my collection. And so what's old to you might be new to me, or somebody else that's down in those comments checking to see what everybody else is writing. So if you wanted to do that, that would be super fun. I adhered that grass die cut down onto the little frame. I'm using the glitter paste and stenciled background as my background sky scene, almost like this little mouse is floating down through the garden filled with other dandelions and daisies. And I glued my mouse over that spot where that little blemish was on the paper. And now between all of the things, you would never have any idea that it wasn't absolutely perfect to begin with. So I went and tucked the leaves of my dandelion plant back behind that grass. And now I'm adding in my 2 little flowers. And then that last mouse is going to go at the bottom, right in the middle, kind of looking up at his little mousy friend floating in on that wishing dandelion. I just think that this scene is so sweet and so cute. And I definitely had a lot of fun kind of moving everything around. And I love the Lawn Fawn grass die cut, the grassy border die cut, because you can kind of have fun tucking your elements down into that grass. So now you can see I cut apart my sentiment, which says, "May all your dreams come true." And I went around the edges with a little bit of my Y19 marker, which is my darkest color from my dandelions, just to help it stand out a little bit from that stenciled background. And I'm going to place those down towards the middle and then the top, just to create kind of a nice frame and a little bit of a flow through the card. It just felt very heavy to have the whole sentiment across the bottom. But if that's the look that you prefer, or maybe if your sentiment was a little bit shorter, it would make a lot more sense there. I feel like I always put the sentiment down at the bottom where the grass would be. Like, that's my first instinct. And so I decided to try to push myself to try something a little different. So I know the challenge was to do as many old school things and stuff from our stash as possible, but I could not help myself. I had to add in these new pink and mane warm gems. They are absolutely beautiful, and I tuck some all around the card under the grass. I think they just add a really nice little bit of sparkle, and the colors in this collection are so beautiful. So that is my card for today. I hope that you take on this spring cleaning challenge. Make sure you go check out Jess's channel as well. Like I said, I'll have that link in the description box for you. And I so appreciate you being here with me today. I cannot express to you how much it means that you would come hang out with me. And if you're new visiting from Jess's channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy the video. If you'd like to join our crafty family, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope that you have an amazing week. And as always, happy crafting.